Hey guys, this is God of Politics, and welcome back to a brand new video. But before we get started with this video, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also join the Discord that is linked down in the description. But in today's video, I will be doing the 2020 election map between Joe Biden and Donald Trump according to the betting odds. Now, the betting odds have gotten a lot of attention lately because of the fact that there has been tightening in the race according to the betting odds. I will be using the Predictit site to predict the outcome of this election. But if you want to look at RCP, Real Clear Politics, the average for the betting odds, Joe Biden peaked at around 61 percentage points on August 4th. Today's date is August 27th, and he is now down to 53%. So that is an 8% drop in just over 3 weeks. Donald Trump, however, has gone from his low point of around 36.4% at the beginning of August. He is now at 46.3%. So he's really bounced back up in the betting odds. And there's a lot of questions, what is, causing him to go up in the betting odds? Is it due to the fact that you have the RNC going on? Is it due to the riots that you're seeing? And I'm going to be using the predicted betting odds for each one of these states to see how that translates onto the map. Now, the methodology I'm using for translating into likely, lean, tilt, and safe states is 50 to 60 cents here for either candidate is tilt, 60 to 70 is lean, 70 to 80 is likely, and anything above 80 cents is safe. So as always, we will start off with the safe states, and you're going to have the usual states over here, all of Nebraska except for the 2nd District, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Missouri, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, West Virginia, South Carolina, as well as the state of Alaska there. And if we actually want to go into Maine, let's see what Maine is. Maine at large, or the Maine of the 2nd District. Okay, so that's not quite safe to the Republican Party yet, but I believe that is all of the safe states for the Republican Party. It totals up in the terms of the betting odds up to 125 safe electoral votes, and then for Joe Biden, he would have Washington, Oregon, California. He actually would also have Nevada because it is at 80 cents. He would have Nevada there. He'd also have Colorado and New Mexico, as well as Hawaii, obviously. He would also have the state of Illinois, as well as the state of Virginia, another state that probably is going to go safe margin. I've come around to the fact that it, has been trending very blue very quickly. I've put it at likely margins before, but I may end up putting it at a safe margin for this election, as well as, the normal safe states in the Northeast here. These usual safe states, and let's actually look at the state of New Hampshire. New Hampshire is at 73, so that's not quite in the safe margin yet. If we go into Maine at large, it does show Joe Biden with an 82% chance of winning, so that would be a safe margin for Maine at large. And then for Maine's 1st congressional district, that would also be safe for the Democrats, as well as finally D.C. So for Kamala Harris and Joe Biden being the presidential candidate, he would get 218 safe electoral votes according to the betting odds. Donald Trump and Mike Pence would get 125. Now, let's look at some of these other states here first. Now, if we start off with the Northeast here, we can see that, actually, we'll start with the likely margin states for the GOP. First is the state of Texas, a very big prize for them that in this scenario would go by a likely margin. Now, Texas is a state that is trending towards the Democrats, and overall, it probably will become a Democratic state in the future with a lot of those suburban areas in Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. Those kinds of areas are becoming more Democratic, and that is going to aid the state in becoming blue, but according to the betting odds, they are showing it to be still a likely margin race. Same thing with the state of Iowa. Iowa is also projected to be a likely margin with the the methodology that I am using. Iowa is a state that's very swingy. Barack Obama won it by 6 percentage points, and then Donald Trump won it by almost 10. In the 2018 midterms, Democrats won the popular vote here. In 2014, Chuck Grassley won by 30-something percentage points. So there's votes for candidates on either side, and the polls have showed it that actually it could be quite close, and the Senate election will also be quite close. But for now, it is putting it at a likely margin of victory. And if we actually want to look at the trend line has been showing it to get a little bit close. It's actually pretty much stayed stagnant in Iowa, but some of these other states you'll see it has gotten a little bit closer. And so getting into these likely margin states for the Democrats where it is between 70 and 80, first of all, we have the state of New Hampshire, a state where, it's a very white state. It's a very small state. It's got a lot of rural areas, but it has traditionally been quite a Democratic state, and the polls are showing it to be quite Democrat as well. And it was very close, actually the closest state in 2016 in terms of the raw vote number, but at least for now it is showing it to be by a likely margin. And actually, before we get into that, not yet. But the next state I would go by likely margin would actually be the state of Michigan. Michigan going by a likely margin there. Now, Michigan is a state, it was baked. I don't want to say it was a fluke in 2016, but it was very surprising that this state went blue in 2016 and went to Donald Trump by 0.2 percentage points, 11,000 votes. If you look back at 2008, Barack Obama won this state by 17 percentage points. So it's trended huge towards the Republican column since then, but it is still controlled by Democrats. Where Joe Biden is still doing very well in the polls, and the betting odds still show a very bullish, outlook on Joe Biden's future in the state of Michigan. Now, getting into these lean states for Republicans between 60 and 70. First, we do have the state of Georgia that is in this projection going to be projected as a lean margin. Now, I could see this in actuality. I could see the state of Georgia going by around 2 to 3 percentage points. I think it'll go by around 1 percentage points. I think people are underestimating the suburban trends in the Atlanta areas, whereas the Republicans are more maxed out in the rural areas. But it is still a Republican state for now, and in the future, as it'll most likely be a Democratic state. But for now, at least according to the betting odds, and at least according to what I'm saying as well, it would be still a Republican state. And then we also have the state of Iowa here. Not Iowa, Ohio. Quite similar to Iowa in many ways, but it is a different state. It is a lot larger of a state. It was considered, the bellwether, prior to, say 2016 and now even 2020. This is the state Barack Obama won by 3 points in 2012. Donald Trump won it by around 8 percentage points in 2016. And I assume it's only this close in terms of the betting odds because of the fact that Joe Biden is ahead in some of these polls here, but we haven't really had many good polling data here. So that is put at a lean margin. And then the final one here would be Maine's 2nd congressional district, which should go to Donald Trump actually by around 10 percentage points in 2016, which was a safe margin. Now it is predicted to be by a lean margin, 68% chance according to those betting odds there. And so it does, give Donald Trump a good edge here in a state that has a lot of rural areas that are trending towards the Republicans, but it is projected to be a little bit closer. And then for the Democrats, if we go into some of these lean margin states, it's actually first checked with the state of Nebraska, for example. Projected Nebraska is second. Okay, not yet with that. But some of these lean margin states, we can actually look first. This again is between 60 and 70 cents. Here first is the state of Minnesota. Now, one of the most striking things about this is that Minnesota is closer than Michigan, and I believe this is partly because of the riots that you had. Maybe some suburban voters will be turned off. You also have a lot of rural trends up in the Iron Range in the north area here, and you also had some polling data. You had a Trafalgar poll that showed it close, but don't really trust Trafalgar. They give Trump extra points because of the shy Trump voter effect. Take that for what it's worth. Also, an Emerson poll showed it at 3 points, even though it also showed Joe Biden ahead by 9 points in Pennsylvania. So take that for what it's worth as well. But it does show Minnesota being a little bit closer in this election as well. And I don't think it'll be closer, but that is what the betting odds show. And same thing with the state of Pennsylvania there. Now, Pennsylvania is also a state where the polls have been very good for Joe Biden. The fundamentals of this state are also good for Joe Biden. You could argue some policies like energy policies, things like that, could turn away some rural voters. But, I don't think many people would argue that this state is, narrowly in favor of Joe Biden. That is what the polling data shows. That is what the betting odds show, and that's what this video is about. So that also is a state that would be considered to be in the lean margin there. And that is the final lean margin state there. So after the lean margin states, we do have Joe Biden and Kamala Harris at 268, and then Donald Trump and Mike Pence at 204. So I believe this is kind of, a very likely scenario to get to at least this point for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris winning at least Michigan and Pennsylvania. I think they are, quite favored to win those states, but, it really... this election could go many different ways, and Michigan and Pennsylvania are only a small part of that. Getting these tilt margin states, however, first we do have the state of North Carolina. This is actually the only state where we have a lean margin, tilt margin state. North Carolina would be in the tilt margins. And if we look at actually the trend line for the state of North Carolina, if we go... Actually, not Virginia. If we go to the state of North Carolina here, we can see that I believe it used to be in Joe Biden's column, or at least quite close to being in Joe Biden's column. We had, 51 to 50 here before. That was 20th of August. If we go, back to the 30-day model here, we can see or the 90-day model, you can see here Joe Biden back in July, June for his peak was actually ahead quite a lot here by around 20-something%, which would actually put that at least in the lean column there, and now it has gotten very close. So Joe Biden peaked at around 61 cents towards the end of July. He has now fallen all the way down to 45 cents. Donald Trump's gone from his peak or his low at around 40 cents up to around 56 cents there. So that's quite a huge shift. And you can see the same thing in states like Michigan, for example. If we look at the 90-day trend in Michigan, we can see it has remained more stagnant, but we can see there's a little bit of a trend line going down. And that's one of the things you're seeing in North Carolina. The polls are showing to get a little bit closer, and some in favor of Donald Trump. The fundamentals of this state, these rural areas that Donald Trump can continue to win over, and some other factors like the convention, the rise that could also help Donald Trump in terms of the betting odds there. But we have all these other states to fill in that would all be tilt Democrat there, and these states are in the betting odds rated all as tilt Democrat. First, we started with the state of Florida that is actually very close to being in the Republican column. It's actually gotten quite close even just since the beginning of this week. If you look at the 90-day model, Joe Biden was ahead over 20 cents in this model, and now Donald Trump's getting actually quite close to winning this state in terms of the betting odds. Now, this is his home state. It's his home state. It's also a state he won in 2016, a state that does historically like incumbents, but it is still favored in Joe Biden's column narrowly. But you have to note this is more of a must-win for Donald Trump than it is for Joe Biden. If Donald Trump doesn't win this state, there's virtually no path to victory. Whereas if Joe Biden wins this state, it only gives him even more paths to victory. Arizona is another state where you have suburban trends in areas like the Phoenix area with the Maricopa County. That's the main area there that is trending towards the Democrats, and that is going to be what makes the state Democrat. It is pretty much never going to happen. I do think Democrats are going to end up making this state a more Democratic state, similar to how you saw trends in states like New Mexico and Colorado, and that's a trend that we're seeing in Arizona. It's a similar trend in Nebraska's 2nd district, where you have suburban trends that are making the state, or at least the district in this sense, more blue. And we've seen polling data as well that has shown this to be quite good for Joe Biden, but it is going to be close regardless. But at least right now, I do think Joe Biden is narrowly going to win. And this is the state of Wisconsin. Now, if we want to look at the trend line of the state of Wisconsin, I can imagine, I haven't checked, but I can imagine it does show quite a shift to Donald Trump's column here compared to what it was. We can even see it was at 66 cents on the 23rd of August. Today's date is the last updated thing here is 26th of August. It fell 7 cents in 3 days. If we want to look at the overall trend here, it has, drastically fallen here. It was at 66 cents. It peaked at around 70 cents, 73 cents. It actually was here, 73 to 28. So, that would be almost a safe margin. That scenario would be a likely margin. But what it does show is that Joe Biden, because of these riots, people are betting against him winning the election. And especially in a state like Wisconsin where the riots are actually going on, how could that hurt suburban voters? What is that going to do? And it is a problem for Joe Biden, because if Joe Biden doesn't, come out and say, speak out against these, do something like that, it could continue to hurt him with voters. But right now he is still favored, albeit narrowly, to win the state of Wisconsin. So looking at this overall map here, it is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris at 319 and Donald Trump and Mike Pence 219. And now I could actually see this map from happening. I don't think Michigan's necessarily likely. Everything is probably lean. I think Ohio, I could probably see this map. I think Georgia might be a little bit closer. Texas might be a little bit closer. Michigan might be a little bit closer. But overall, I think this actually is quite a good map in terms of showing the overall state of the race. If we wanted to look at this map from, 2 weeks ago or even a month ago, it would be much different. And that is part of the things people are saying that the race is tightening for, that the betting odds are showing it tightening. Whether it actually has some, empirical data, polls, trends, things like that show it to getting closer, we'll see about that. But this is what the map does show according to the betting odds right now. So thank you all for watching this video. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also join the Discord that is linked down in the description. So thank you all again for watching this video, and I will see you guys later.